Well, today we got a 2003 CBR600RR. My buddy picked up for real cheap and did an oil change and filter change and new tires, and we think the engine locked up after like the first hour of riding it. Because the engine's not turning, we took off a little cover right there, and the crank won't turn or anything, and put it in first gear and knocked it forward, and it's not going anywhere. So when we drop the engine, we got another engine for it that's sitting right over there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just taking off the fairings and the gas tank and air box, and then the throttle bodies, and then the headers, and then the radiator, and then drop the engine and see how it goes. Alrighty, making progress. I'm gonna take off that bolt and pull all that off. Drop the coolant here in a minute. Take off some of those things, and then start taking off these frame bolts, and then on each side, and then unscrew the throttle bodies and support them, and the spark plug or the coil wires and everything, and then unplug as much as we can up here, and then put a jack under it after we take off the headers, and yeah, drop the engine. Well, most of the engine mount bolts out. Took off all the wires up here, took off the throttle bodies, took off the 3 up here, and then the 2 on either side. Drained the coolant. About ready to drop it. Got the jack under it, taking out one of the last bolts. Alright, well, there's these 3. And actually when we dropped it, the engine is kind of resting on this area right here. You can kind of see it. It's kind of sitting right on that, so I'll probably push it this way and the whole thing is going to drop. Because I had to take off the kickstand section right here. Is those 2 bolts, that bolt in right here, and yeah, this goes to the swing arm, so I'm just leaving that partially in because I have it mounted like this. So I'm gonna try and be careful and gently let the jack down and probably screw something up. Yeah, it's just a matter of finagling it, getting this jack out from under it, and you can tell it's already out. It's just kind of getting stuck a couple places. I'm gonna double check there's no wires kinked or anything, and then keep going. Old motor is out. It's right there. That's the new motor. I was an idiot. Always take out your radiator when you're doing this stuff. On my GSXR, the top of the valve cover is pretty smooth, but on this one, it has all of this right here, and so this part right here, when it was dropping out, rammed into the radiator and punched a hole in it. So that's $80 down the drain. New to radiators, on its way. And this is the used engine, and I found this right here, and it's hard to see, but there is a crack up here, and there's obviously oil leaking. You can see it right here, right there. So my guess is obviously this was probably dropped, and this is a weak point. There's just, you know, maybe that much of aluminum holding that together. So I'll probably go in here on each side, maybe get a little Dremel and rough that up as best as I can along that crack on both sides, and then once I have a good little rough spot, I'll really carefully clean it with brake cleaner, make sure there's no oil whatsoever on it, and then I'll put some JB Weld on both sides. And this stator looks pretty good. It might even be OEM. I'm not really sure. It does look better than cheaper ones I've seen. This plug is definitely not a cheap aftermarket one, and we just replaced the stator on the old engine actually because it wasn't charging. It had 53,000 miles and it was just, the old stator was given out. Pretty sure it was OEM, and you can see the new gasket already on there. So this is an aftermarket plug. That one looks OEM though. But this one, the resistance, you measure in the 200 ohms. Right there. So the resistance on this one was 0.5 across each terminal. You just do the black and red, and then black and red, it doesn't really matter. All of them were about 0.5. On the new one, it's about 0.4, which is better. But this one should charge just fine, and it's OEM, so, and none of these look burnt or anything. So I'll probably just throw that one back on. When I do throw this case back on, I'm going to make sure and clean the outside of it really good. And then use a new gasket. And put the sealant around the top of the plug. Hopefully got that stator covered on and sealed good. I'm going to go ahead and replace the spark plugs while we're here. Got the new NGK iridiums. Going to gap them real quick and throw them in there. Well, engine is in. Pretty much just got a jack right here, and then I went to this side and lifted it up on either side with my arms and slid the jack underneath, and then jacked it up and just real gently and slowly got it to where we could put in one bolt, then another bolt, and then got them all slightly snug, and then looked up the torque specs and which ones you're supposed to do first, and then bolted them all in. And now I'm doing throttle bodies. Some of these are from the old engine and new, but they're really old, so they're kind of falling apart, so I had to work with those a bit. But yeah, once the throttle bodies are in and all tightened up and plug all the wires in, new radiator is on the way. We'll have to connect everything. We'll try and turn it over tonight and see if it runs, and then go from there. Well, she's back together. We're about to ride it back to another place, work on it some more, and just get the fairings on and stuff. Yeah, she runs smooth. You gotta flash the power commander and stuff